Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday evening and our story. And apologies again for last week, but we think we've cracked the code this time. And so my guest, Phil Williams.
How are you?
I'm well, Phil, and it's good to have you with us. It's good to hear people's stories. Phil is, amongst other things, the star of Tuesday night pool games at the pub when we're back in the pub thing. That's not to say he's a great pool player. He is entertaining.
I was going to say I'm entertainment normally.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Able to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, but every now and again also pulls one out of the hat. He's also a dad of a lot of experience, very experienced dad.
Yes. Six.
Yet?
5 3/4.
Yeah, that's right. So Tara's due in August. So Phil, tell us a bit more about yourself. What do you do for a crust? How long you've lived in Caloundra? How long you've been a part of this fellowship?
Okay, so I have lived in Caloundra for 38 years nearly. So born and bred. And probably only lived in maybe 3 or 4 different houses in town over that time. What do I do for a living? Not a lot at the moment. But we keep food on the table because of the government with their COVID money, which has been handy. Originally actually I was a pizza store manager back a long time ago. Yeah, so I did that for a couple of years, and
So I would have thought you'd be the bloke in the church that would have had the pizza oven in his backyard, or did you see enough pizzas during that?
I had seen enough pizza during.
Okay, fine.
And I ate enough pizza during that time as well, which you can sort of tell. Anyway, I got I did an apprentice in as a floor sander. I did like a long way around apprentice, like an adult apprenticeship. I've got a trade certificate behind myself as well, and I got out of that and did a little bit of project management in the same industry, in the flooring industry, for a couple of years. A company went under, got myself another job, just moved sideways, and then now I found myself back up in the industry again, sanding floors with earmuffs on, sucking in dust. So yeah, that's always been my sort of fallback thing.
You're also a part-time firefighter.
Yes.
And a full-time student moving towards a degree as a paramedic.
That's correct, yes. So I've been firefighting now for 17 years. I started on my 21st birthday. I did training on my 21st, the day after my 21st birthday. So that was interesting, to say the least. And been with the same station since I started.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, 4.5 years ago, I decided to do my paramedicine degree through Sunny Coast Uni.
All right.
And yeah.
Well, one of the things that we're talking about in this series is this idea of, well, where does following Jesus fit into the everyday stuff of life? So for you, what's been the story along that journey for an experience of faith? I gather you sort of had a bit of suck it and see a few years ago, and that was not a great. It was a bit
Yeah. So my family were originally part of the Uniting Church in Caloundra, and I was baptised with them when I was before I could remember.
A bub.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for whatever reason, mum and dad left the church. And we were sort of brought up at school with religious education and all that type of stuff, and it really never sort of crossed my mind, because like back in schooling it was not seen as cool to be a part of that, and I struggled with that as well, with not sort of being, not seen as being a part of a cool thing. because it was always something that I did think about, but I just never pursued it. And yeah, so it's when I met Tara and she came, or was a part of a not a heavily devout Christian family, but they would go to church, probably do their church thing twice a month, and her grandparents are devout Christians as well, know the Bible inside and out like yourself.
Where did you get that idea from?
Well, you know it a lot better than what I do anyway.
Abraham Lincoln said you can fool some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool everybody all the time except
me.
One day I'll tell you a story about when he wanted to buy a Bible and it was my fault, but that's another... we might get to that before the end of the season. All right, I'll tell my version of it.
Yeah, because I'll sway the truth on that one too. Yeah, and then we as a family, like we had started to raise children and stuff, and we tried the, I suppose you'd call it maybe like the Hillsongy type churches, and I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. It was too lights and bang and really in your face stuff, and I said to Tara, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I've tried. You know, I believe in God. I didn't I didn't know a lot about the story. And you know, I knew about Jesus and you know why we celebrate Christmas and Easter, and apart from that, that's the story that I knew. And yeah, like I suppose on reflection, looking throughout my life up until 4.5 years ago, there were times where I would sort of go, oh, you know, that was a bit weird.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do. A minute ago you said something you thought you'd like to pursue.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a sense that God was pursuing you? In those moments where you thought, oh, do you have a sense in which maybe God was tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, Phil, remember me?
On reflection, yes. But I think for me, it took a big moment for it to hit me in the face before I got really woken up in regards to, right, I'm going to do this. We're going to do this as a family.
That can we come back to that? We're going to do this as a family, because I think that's really a significant thing that a lot of people don't get to at the moment. But that big moment, if I'm on the right track, was pretty much where you and I first met at Nambour Hospital. Tell us the story.
So, a couple of 4.5 years, because that's really where the story of my story started, and our family's story started with Bells. So we, my wife Tara was pregnant with our 4th child at that stage. And he was a surprise to us. And anyway, long story short, he was a stillbirth. So we went up there knowing that he was, or what we thought was alive. He was alive the night before, and the day we were supposed to...
full term.
Yeah, full term. Tara was to be induced that day. And yeah, and your world comes just crashing down around you, because you just... that stuff's just never really spoken of. It's not really out there in the open, and a lot of people keep that to themselves. And... I don't know whether I should say it's funny, but that's what I'm going to go with. It's funny how and you see it in movies and other people's lives as well, but when the chips are down in people's lives, or they think something bad is really going to happen, they turn to God. Look at a movie, a plane's crashing, and everyone starts praying.
There are no atheists in a foxhole. You hear those kind of expressions.
And it was just that instant, I wanted to know I wanted to know why. I wanted to know where, or if God was going to look after Owen. And I wanted to make a connection. And not that I had to make it. I wanted to make it for Owen. And I've said before that I wanted to make sure that he was going to be okay. We did get to meet him, but in womb we didn't get to meet him breathing air. He was getting oxygen another way. So yeah, it was a massive. That was the hit on the head. To say, come on, now let's do this together.
Can I ask a question that I don't think I've ever asked you, mate, but I'll ask it now. I would have thought that was a moment where you could have easily just said to God, well, that's it. You could have really swung, and I know people who do, anger, bitterness. God is to blame for this, and I want nothing more to do with your idea of God. And yet in that moment, you actually kind of reached out to want to, as you've put it, connect with God. Mm. Have you ever thought why, or wondered why?
For me, I don't get me wrong, I was really cranky at him because it was why do this to us? But over a period of a couple of months, it was, well, why not? Why not have this happen to us? So it happened to us for a reason. I look at it now that Owen was too perfect for earth and was needed in heaven, or to be with the angels in heaven, or to do whatever he's needed to be done. Yeah, I was cranky with that. But we used that opportunity to educate other people. We used that opportunity to raise funds and help others that go through the same, that might go through the same thing. So I harnessed that energy from God instead of getting angry, and put it to good use.
Wow. And everybody that goes through any kind of an experience such as that, and I try to choose those words carefully because everybody's experience is unique.
Yeah, and it's different, yeah.
No question. But anybody who's been in that moment, that's that whole huge mystery of what happens, why, what is permitted to happen, and so on. And yet somehow what I'm hearing in that is something like what I read in the Bible, where all things can work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. It's really hard to get your head into, but it is possible that even out of the worst of our living, something can be rewrought and reworked and repurposed. And as you say, the energy that you then brought to caring for other families who've been bereaved and so on, quite a remarkable thing. Now, you use the word us a lot, us and we, and you said before that this was a moment for your whole family. As dad and husband, how do you think it's been a case of you kind of taking the lead and saying, well, family, we're going to explore this God journey in this following Jesus thing?
Yeah. So I'll just not top it, but I'll bring that all together as one moment where I think the whole family just sort of went, okay, wow. When we, it wasn't a funeral, we didn't call it a funeral. It was a celebration of getting to know Owen, and at the end of that celebration, we went outside and we released some balloons. So that these balloons were just randomly released. And it was a moment where we all as a family turned around and noticed that the balloons had formed, there was, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them, had formed a shape of an O in the sky. And we all just sort of had a bit of a think about it at that stage and went, he's up there with God. That was that defining moment as a family, to know that he was okay. He was letting us know that he was okay. So that's how I sort of bring all that together.
Okay.
And I often spoke about as well with you that, and I still get it to this day, that I get told, or things just pop into my head, whether it's Owen or whether it's God just telling me it's all going to be okay, everything's going to be all right. I always get that told to me subconsciously, ever since that day.
So the faith journey then, while there's a personal thing to it, it's a shared experience for you. And I well remember in the calls and so forth, and then you guys coming to hang out with us and become part of community. So how have you come to understand following Jesus, being a disciple, a Christ follower, whatever kind of words we're going to use in that it's not just a solo gig, that it's a thing that's a shared journey?
Yeah. So what I like about Bells, and what our family likes about Bells as well, is you just don't. It's not a normal church where you just sit there in the pews and you get like stuff read to you.
I could do that if you want.
No, because this is what makes it great, and this is how we get to go along the journey and learn about Christ. You get to talk to other people, you get to sit beside other people, you get to mingle with other people. You're made to feel welcome. And it's not just going to church, but we also do church outside of church on a Sunday. We go play pool. The boys go play pool. The ladies go and drink coffees. We meet up in the parks and have barbecues and do cricket and stuff like that. But we give back to our community as well.
See, well, and that's the thing. You have brought to us a sense of the sacred in the everyday, if I'm going to put some sort of theology around it. So when you said to us, we should do Clean Up Australia, it should be a church thing that we care for the environment in our area.
Yeah, we have to look after what God gave us. That's it. Like, there's no point going to church every Sunday or every Friday or whatever day you go to church on, but don't practice the Christian things. So giving back and looking after the environment as a church is awesome. Helping out not just people that you never meet, but looking after people in Golden Beach or Watala or wherever in our local community, with a fuel voucher, or paying for some kids to go to swimming lessons because their parents can't afford it that week. That's what's important for me about being involved with a church that wants to give back. It's not just let's just go in with our 4 walls. I'm a firm believer on practicing what you preach. You've got to go out and do God's work. You can't just not skim over everything.
It seems to me that you've been able to touch the mystery as well as roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
That there's 2 parts to this experience for you that you're trying to hold in some sort of tension. How do you have a sense then of the call of God on your life? If this is about following Jesus, and we use that sort of term, and I guess that's, what do we mean by that? But how do you have a sense in which you sense God saying, hey, Phil, have I got something for you tomorrow, the rest of your life, into eternity, right now?
So when we lost Owen, it was then, that's when I decided that I was going to go and study paramedicine. Now, like, I don't know a lot of tradies out there that have just decided maybe I'm halfway through my life, I'm nudging 40.
Yeah, don't make me think about how old I have to live now to get twice of what I got now. It's not going to happen.
I sort of looked at it like, go. It's not like I just decided, well, it is really that I just decided one day I'm just going to go off and study paramedicine. But I firmly believe God told me to go and do that. Go and make good, or go and do good, and help. There's that whole thing again. Help somebody else in their time of need. And but I'm gonna leave this one with you, because on my journey, I struggle. Like doctors and nurses and that. They're trying to keep God at the door and from you going to heaven. That's how I sort of look. So I'm
I never thought about that. Okay.
So this is something.
Gatekeepers.
This is something that I struggle with though, because am I intervening with what He wants to do, or is He allowing people? Because I've spoken to this with you though before too, about having two paths.
Yeah.
You choose a path. God He knows what He wants you to do, but He ain't going to give you the easy way around. You can take the easy way sometimes if that's what you feel like you want to do. But for me, sometimes I like to go, I'm not going to take that easy path. I'm going to push against you and see if I go down this path. And it's sometimes it's really hard because I've chosen the hard path. But I think that's character building. And it brings you closer to God too, because He does still sit there like this, pushing you back to where He's got you going to. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, in part. And I think again, there's that experience that for each of us needs to be dealt with in honesty, and that's the personal journey that we share in the communal journey as well. Somebody who looked after me after I'd come home from the hardest of the deployments I ever did once said to me, God can't steer a stationary object, Phil. If you sit on your blessed assurance, well, you're going nowhere. Yeah. But start to make a move, and then at least God can start to direct your life. But if you just sit there and say, well, nothing's happening, well then, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that sense of the choice and the options presented to us are really important. And as you said, back in your younger days, this stuff doesn't matter, or doesn't seem to matter.
It doesn't.
But you come to a point as an adult where hang on, what is the significance of my life? What is the purpose of my humanity? And what is eternity about? And does that start now and go forever? If you've just joined us, we're almost close to winding up. I'm Phil Smith. I'm the pastor with Bell's Faith Community here on the Sunshine Coast. This is Phil Williams, and he's been with us for a while. He and his family, 4 years, I guess. We would have been together about a year when you rolled into our lives, and thank you for that, and the journey ever since. A couple of quick ones. Being a disciple who makes other disciples. Jesus says to us, come follow me, and bring some other folks along for the journey. That's been a part of your story as well. And how does that live out for you when the opportunity is there to say to others, hey, this is a good life?
I'll give you one. A couple of weeks ago, well, it wouldn't have been a couple of weeks ago because of the lockdowns, but it was actually, it was
the other day.
Yeah, we'll call it the other day. So we were at uni and there was a tag. We got the tags on my uni bag that say bells.
Oh, yeah.
And this has actually happened twice. And we were in the library and somebody said, well, what's that tag there on your bag? And I said, oh, it's... And, when I first come to church, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I probably just would have fobbed it off. But I turned around and went, oh, yeah, no, this is a church that I'm involved with. Oh, and all four of their faces sort of dropped. And I went, why you be like that? I said, what? Where do you think you're going to go one day? Where would you like to go? To heaven. One of them said. And I said, okay. Would you not like to try to sort of get a relationship with the bloke that sort of runs all that stuff and could make it sort of easier? And I said to him, why don't you go to a church one day? There are different types out there. There are some that are like really old-fashioned, like Nana's like going to, and it's all like, sorry, old people, but it's all like old people, Adam, okay? And they've got their ways, and that's cool. And then you can go to the ones that are like the Hillsongs, and then you can go to ones like Bells, where it's inviting. And they allow you to do your own journey.
For anybody who's just tuned in and is curious about this, we live in Vista. That's where we started, Bell's Reach, this part of the Sunshine Coast. But it's a rhythm of living that Michael Frost allows us to sort of use the acronym, I guess. So for us, it's belonging, eating, listening, learning, and serving. And we're trying to follow Jesus in that rhythm of life that says, people come and belong. We'll worry about what you believe as we go along, but you're welcome here. There's a lot of hospitality, although this is the first time we've been able to have people in each other's homes for a little while.
Yeah.
Listening and learning to one another and to the story of God, and listening and learning from the Holy Spirit, and serving, as Phil touched on, the opportunity in simple ways to connect with the community around us, just at a very simple local level, and be a part of that. I am going to finish with that story of you going to buy a Bible, which I think
we'll finish with that one, but I just got one more. I just wanted to say. A couple of years ago. Well, hang on. I'll start with this first. Don't be afraid to ask God for help, and for if you're in that time of need, to ask for direction. You might not get it straight away. You might get it straight away. But I've told this story before in church. I've just got to be careful how I word this. So a couple of years ago, we went to quite a big structural fire in town, and we had multiple rescues. And we were the second crew inside, and for me, I struggled to find anything and anyone in this place. And I walked outside with my partner, and we were about to get pulled out and go to the next level. And I turned to my partner before our lieutenant walked up to us, and I said, no, we have to go back inside. And as I got to the door, dead set, I said, you got to show me where these people are. So we walked inside, and I went to the left, and I found a door that I reckon we'd walked past multiple times, but just I hadn't put my hand on the doorknob. I opened up the door, and there was a person behind it. In their apartment, was smoke logged. We got them out, and we found then another person on the same level. If it wasn't for me asking and taking that couple of seconds to ask, I think things would have been totally different that night. We probably would have been pushed somewhere else. So I just want to leave that with you. Just ask sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
Just ask for help if you need help. It might not necessarily just land in your lap. But yeah, that's another one of those hitch on the back of the head moments.
And that's a much better point to finish than not being able to find a Bible in a Bible store. We'll do that some other time. Phil Williams, thank you so very much. We're not supposed to be shaking hands, so we'll just do that. If you would like to continue to engage with us, we're going to try to do this every Thursday evening at 7:30. We are together as community to worship and to spend time together on Sunday afternoons at 5:30 online here on this Facebook channel. And we're pretty close to a point where we'll be able to get a few people together in homes again. So that's going to be good. But by all means, you would be welcome to be with us. And thanks for spending time with us this evening. Thanks, Phil.
Cheers. Thank you.